Thank you very much, Chrissy, and great to be up here presenting at the Tribeca Future Minerals Conference. We've had a very long relationship with Tribeca, so it's great to be presenting for the first time. So for those that haven't actually seen Green Technology Metals before or seen me present before, one of the most important things that we do actually talk about is our First Nations partners that we acknowledge, and having the ability to operate in their lands and continue to develop projects in their region is a huge part of our business. So we certainly acknowledge that as we go forward. So Green Technology, are we oversold or undervalued? It's a big question for a lot of people. Obviously we're in a pretty dire lithium market, have been for the last sort of 6 months, but certainly from the people that we talk to, which is in long depth strategics, OEMs and all the likes, the lithium market is certainly very alive and still here, and they're all very positive of the future. So we see it as a great time to be investing. Certainly I've been putting my money back into the company, which is probably what shareholders want to see. But I think now is a very good time to be looking at companies that like ourselves. We've got a register, I think, for a size of a junior that not many others have, with strategics on the register such as AMCI Group, LG Energy Solutions, Waratah Capital, Lithium Americas and Primero Group. So very strong strategic register that obviously back our assets and back the team that we will get these into production and get them going soon. So company highlights. Since we listed the company 2 years ago, we picked up the assets. We had about 3 to 4 million tonnes in a JORC resource. We've now increased that to nearly 25 million tonnes at just over 1.13 lithium oxide. So we've continued to grow that resource, and we will continue to grow that resource. There's absolutely huge amounts of spodumene in the area. They're extremely fertile pegmatites, high grade, very clean, and that's what attracts us to the whole area of Ontario to start with. We've got about 56,000 hectares, which is a huge land holding in northwestern Ontario. We have 10 projects that are mainly made up of our eastern and western hub, which is the Seymour and the Root project, and their surrounding projects very close. We also have other really large land packages through the region. 2026 will be our first planned production. We're still on track for that. We do plan to be the first spodumene producer in Ontario, which will give us a huge advantage as we move forward with the rest of our plans as well. And at this early stage, and within sort of 18 months of even listing, we had our first official offtake, a binding offtake agreement with LG Energy Solutions for 25% of that first concentrator. As you can see, we're situated very close to Thunder Bay. Our project's only 324 and 506 kilometres from Thunder Bay, so it's a huge advantage when we're talking about moving and logistics and trucking concentrate down to a central conversion facility. It is part of our strategy, and I'll run you through that today as well. So the three-stage strategy, as you can see here, is to start with our Seymour project, which is our first modest resource. When we picked up the project, it already had some baselining data done on the project, so we were right into it from head start, and we started to continue with that baselining the first day we started drilling. So we've now completed that. We've taken it a very long way along the line to being permitted, and then hence why we think we can be in production in 2026. So the idea there is to produce a DMS concentrate. It's very coarse, very competent rock. And we'll use that as a starter project to get into production and get into early cash flows. The second part of our strategy is to partner with some of the world's leading groups to build a lithium conversion facility. Now, it's very lofty ambitions for a junior of at the moment a $60 million market cap to be sitting here saying that we will build lithium conversion. But certainly we won't be funding it. We'll be partnering with some of the biggest and best operators that currently produce chemicals in the world at the moment. And we will use our knowledge and our skill set to develop the mines, and we will assist them also in the lithium conversion facility. The third part of the strategy is the Root Lithium project. Now, this is certainly shaping up to be a real company maker for us as a project. We only started drilling there about 15 months ago. We've already established about 15 million tonnes at 1.2% Li2O, and we've already got 10 million in the indicated category. So we've been drilling the Root Bay project out, and I'll run through that a bit later, but we certainly think that this will underpin probably 15 years of mine life, even up to 20 years of mine life to feed lithium conversion into the future. So advancing towards production. We've already done ticked off many of these bullet points on the left. We've completed our first PEA, which was a completely integrated PEA with 2 mines and a lithium conversion facility. Very comprehensive document, if anyone wants to read it, about 1,000 pages. But it did show some really strong economics, and that gives us the opportunity to then move forward and continue to developing our assets. We've got strategic partnerships that we've developed through our knowledge and I guess our friends and partners in the industry. We've submitted our application for the Strategic Innovation Fund, which is funding for the conversion facility in Canada. We were the first ones to submit that in Ontario. We've got our mining lease granted for Seymour. We've received our environmental class. We've got our first offtake that we've completed, and we've got some very good metallurgy that allows us to have simple processing infrastructure, which is a huge advantage to have. So what are we doing at the moment at Seymour? We're about to start our maiden drilling program at Junior Lake, which is a new project about 15 kilometres to the east. We've got walk-up targets there. We've already established a very fertile pegmatites with grab samples up to 3.5%. This year we're looking at completing a definitive feasibility study, which will hopefully lead us to a financial investment decision, obviously market depending. And we're looking to starting to clear this year in early works. The approvals process that we're going through at the moment, we currently have a draft closure plan, which is probably the final tick in the box for receiving our permits to construct. We're continuing our Indigenous consultation and our minor permitting approvals that we're still continuing with as well. And that will lead us to mid-year sort of further discussions on financing and finalising the rest of our offtake with potential project level investment and also government funding. So that's all on the Seymour project. So as you can see, we're pretty busy and continuing to advance that project. On the conversion facility, we're continuing our site selection. We do have a site selected at currently, and that's what we've studied. But at the moment, we want to complete our partnering process, which will also determine our flow sheet selection and potentially a joint venture in the making on the horizon. So we'll kick into a preliminary feasibility study as well. We're looking at also working with that group or 2 groups to fund that as we go forward, which will also help us with, I guess, cash flow and burden on the business being a junior developer. The Root project, that is the game changer for the company as far as resource size. We've got a 10,000 metre drilling program that we're currently working on and designing, and we will kick into the PFS next year. But that 10,000 metre program will really be key to, I think, a lot of resource upgrades in the area. And we'll be continuing with project description submission and baseline studies not to delay development possibility at Root. So why Ontario? We just had Nick talk about first lithium in Western Australia and how much of a great jurisdiction it is. Look, Ontario is completely different. It is an ecosystem that's been set up. It's ready for a complete mine to EV supply chain. Now, it has world-class infrastructure up there. I mean, why do we select our projects in Ontario? Our projects are very close to infrastructure. They have roads, they have power, they have networks and communities not too far away. But the provincial government within Ontario as well has established the Building More Mines Act, and they are actually just been rated the number one jurisdiction to be developing lithium projects, well, not in battery metals projects in the world. And the reason they've done that is that there is huge amounts of government support. There is a complete supply chain there, from cathode active material to cell manufacturing to EV manufacturing, all within 1,200 kilometres of where our mines are established. It's a great gateway to the US, which obviously has a huge market and huge government funding as well available. And it is basically the only place in the world which has 6 of the largest EV or even car manufacturers in the province. So there's not many places like that in the world that you can say you can develop mining projects when you have automakers that are all within 1,200 kilometres of your mines. So we think it's a great place to develop. There is 28 billion that's being committed at the moment from some of these automakers and cell manufacturers. There is a huge amount of capacity that requires lithium hydroxide in Ontario itself, and $3 billion of government funding that's available to people like us applying for grants and for debt packages to build our projects. So on the gateway itself, Just a little bit more, I think, information. I mean, here's our projects here, just to the left. Really is the gateway to the whole of northwestern Ontario. Now, northwestern Ontario has huge amounts of spodumene, has some really amazing deposits, and there's going to be a lot more found. The thing about Ontario is it's quite hard to find spodumene, because you can't just sort of look on Google Earth and see outcropping pegmatites. You've got to actually work hard for exploration. But as you can see here, we've got the electric corridor, which is down where all the automotive makers are. Here they all are here with cell manufacturing, EVs, and cathode active material. And then down to the US with one of our biggest shareholders, LG Energy Solutions, which is building multiple CAM and cell manufacturing facilities down here in the US as well. So some more detail. This is Seymour, our eastern hub. We just had these new images rendered, so you can sort of see we are moving very close to development. There's about 10.3 million tonnes there that we have in our resource. We've done about 75,000 metres of drilling, so we're really confident on the resource itself. And we still have an exploration target when we get back into the fields to continue exploration to grow that resource. Seymour, the North Albury itself is the main deposit. You can see here it's sort of one thick pegmatite, starts from surface and got really good grades at surface. Strip ratio is quite, it's quite challenging once we get down to this sort of 150 metre level. But once we get down there here, we've got sort of 19 metres, 20 metres, gets to about 40 metres thick in the middle. And there's some drilling we released only a couple of weeks ago, 24 metres at 2.7%. So extremely high grade. Very coarse, low in iron, very competent rock, probably some of the best spodumene that I've seen, and I've certainly looked at probably about 30 or 40 projects over the world. So that's the starter pit and the first, first 5 years of mine life there at North Albury. We're certainly very, very comfortable with, I guess, the economics of that pit being developed. As I mentioned before, we're talking about our Junior Lake project, which is where we will be drilling this year and looking at all these other targets, walk-up targets we have. Nearly 20 kilometres away, but like a lot of lithium projects, multiple projects have multiple pits. So we do see this as a bit of a camp. We've only explored just this little area here around North Albury. We've got walk-up targets here with over 3% grade, so we'll certainly be drilling those this summer, the Canadian summer that is, probably autumn, and making sure that we've got more inventory to add and increase the mine life. There's really good opportunities, and it's actually shown in other parts of Canada where you can ore sort and actually just truck to the plant. So there really is, I think, a good opportunity to develop a camp, and there's multiple other projects in the area as well. I better hurry up. Production in Seymour, look, it is a no chemical, very simple process, low environmental footprint, and we've got a zero discharge site, which does allow us to move the permitting forward very quickly. Conversion facility, some nice rendered images here. If you look really closely, it's already been built. Look at that. This is what we studied, which was actually the Metallurgic flow sheet. We will be looking at other opportunities as we go forward. But as I said, we'll update the market once we have a partner on board, and we will be moving forward into the PFS. But we found a good site. It's an amazing area. There's available power. There's great logistics. It's an amazing hub, and there's huge government and local support to develop in the area. There's a couple more nice pictures. The Western Hub, this is Root. This is going to be our largest project. There's 15 million tonnes or 14.6 million tonnes there already. We've moved into the studies. We've developed a hybrid sort of flotation and DMS, which is a much bigger concentrator. We will be drilling here this year. This is the Root Bay deposit itself. We've discovered more pegs here on the Root Bay East area, and we certainly will be drilling into the Root Bay Deeps area as well. Hugely prospective for underground. We've increased our exploration targets up to 25 to 35 million tonnes. We've got Root Bay East as well, which has got some intersections of up to 23 metres at 1.16. So I'm being kicked off. There's the flow sheet for Root, which will be a more complex, but we'll be back into cash flow by these times, and we'll be an established company, so it'll be easier to develop. And we have a very busy year ahead, which I've pretty much covered all the highlights, but certainly look forward to further updates in the coming months. Thank you, Chrissy. Thanks, everyone.